stabbing attack at an intersection in the West Valley, just a few blocks away from the Cardinals stadium. We're going to tell you more on what we're learning about that case. And then from the West Valley to the east, massive backups as far as the eye could see out there, where there was just a horrific accident on the Superstition Freeway. It was kind of an unusual crash where no other vehicle was involved, but when it came to an end, one person was critically hurt and died within a matter of hours. And so we're going to have more for you on that story as well. It took them hours to do the investigative work, and the backups out there on the 60 literally stretched as far as the eye could see. Matter of fact, when Skyfox was flying overhead, you could see what people were dealing with, and we've learned a lot more about that case coming up. So, the top stories of the morning, we always have them for you here on Fox 10 Talks. I'm Ron Hoon. Celeste Rodriguez is going to join in just the next couple of minutes. We always look forward to your comments in the YouTube chat box. I see Louie saying good morning to everybody, and Swat Young and Angela Brockelman and more. So we appreciate that, that's for sure. Let's get right on to these stories that are getting the big talk. And we will start out at this crime scene in Glendale. There was a woman who was literally just viciously stabbed. The victim has not yet been identified, and there are no suspects in custody. Was it entirely random? Was it some kind of a road rage? Was it some kind of a targeted killing? There's still so much to learn here. But it happened early this morning at about 91st Avenue and Cardinals Way. I believe we got the information into the newsroom just a couple, 3 hours ago, somewhere in our 7 a.m. hour. So we don't know the victim's identity yet, and we certainly don't know what led up to that attack. But it's just one of a number of stories that we are continuing to follow for you this morning. Let's talk about what happened overnight at this apartment complex at about 43rd Avenue and Bell Road. Now, for those of you who are watching, regular viewers from around the world, that's kind of in the northern, that Bell Road used to be the far northern edge of Phoenix. Well, now, of course, the city stretches for miles further to the north. But this is a situation where there was a shooting late Monday night at an apartment complex there in Peoria. And they do say that they did make an arrest. So at least in this case, the police say they have a pretty good idea of what was going on as a result of this shooting. But it did result in one man's death. Let's get on to the story of what was happening out there on the Superstition. So there was a crash early this morning. Now, again, for our kind of worldwide audience, look at all the lanes out there. I mean, the Superstition Freeway, the US 60, runs from the second largest city here in the metro area, which is Mesa, right through Tempe and on into Phoenix. And in this case, these are the outbound lanes where we saw so much of that backup going on. The driver who died, this whole thing happened at about 3 o'clock this morning. Shortly after that, usually around 3:30, I'm actually driving into Phoenix, into the studio here, and I could see all the lanes were shut down. And boy, there were all kinds of DPS vehicles, police vehicles, etc. From what we've learned, the driver kind of overcorrected, was at the gore point on the eastbound lanes of the 60, overcorrected, and ended up clearing across, I think, almost all those lanes of the freeway. You know, it's a little more difficult when your vehicle is out of control if it's a more of a high-profile vehicle, more of an SUV, than something that would sit lower to the ground. But the Department of Public Safety says it happened at about 3 o'clock this morning, and all of those lanes were shut down for many hours as a result. They did finally get it all cleaned up, but really a sad situation there. You've got a family dealing with the sad news that they had a family member at about 3 o'clock this morning overcorrecting after trying to get on the freeway. All right, while we wait for Celeste to come on in and join us here at about 6 after, there was some heat coming out of the White House this morning. Matter of fact, I'm just looking here. I think I've got a live view of it for you right there. There was some heat coming out of the White House where they held an early morning news conference. Caroline Leavitt was slamming Amazon. There'd been a report that came out early this morning that what Amazon was going to do was report on the tariffs, what they had done to the price of every individual product, because a lot of what Amazon sells comes out of China. And so she said this is a hostile and political act by Amazon. I mean, they weren't mincing any words at the White House. And here is a little bit more. By the way, the Treasury Secretary, Scott Bessent, said that it was this, he was out there to talk a little bit more about kind of the tariff negotiations. And here's what got said at that early morning. This is about 6 o'clock in the morning, our time out here in Arizona, 9 a.m. out there. Here's what got said.
This is a hostile and political act by Amazon. Why didn't Amazon do this when the Biden administration hiked inflation to the highest level in 40 years? And I would also add that it's not a surprise because, as Reuters recently wrote, Amazon has partnered with a Chinese propaganda arm. So this is another reason why Americans should buy American. It's another reason why we are onshoring critical supply chains here at home to shore up our own critical supply chain and boost our own manufacturing here.
Okay, so, originally I think that was supposed to be a Scott Bessent appearance, but obviously the president wasn't very happy about it, and Caroline Leavitt got out there and started speaking about it. So here's the thing. We were watching as it all unfolded. Shares of Amazon started dropping pretty quickly on the stock market. As you know, Jeff Bezos, who also owns the Washington Post, was the founder of Amazon. And before you know it, we got an official statement from Amazon within about 2 hours saying, oh, no, we were never really going to roll out that plan right. I'm sure the statement from the White House had nothing to do with it. Celeste joins us. Well, morning, Celeste.
Good morning, Ron. Good morning, everyone.
Okay, so as a result, they've backed off of it. And so here's what I want to do, Celeste. This is a little bit unusual, but here's where we stand right now that Amazon backed off the idea. Close to 200 votes. 61% say that is a bad move, Amazon. You should have stuck with your plan. People need to know what Trump's tariffs are doing to prices. Your next option, 28% saying, good, it really was a political move by Amazon. And then 11% said, I don't really care about the politics. I would like to see the info on the screen. Now, get this, Celeste, we've never quite done this before.
Okay.
I'm going to have Dean Fazzini scroll up for us live, because this is what it looked like when we first launched the poll question this morning in our 7 a.m. hour. Over 1,400 people voted.
Look at that.
And 72% said originally, they said, look, this plan is a good plan because people need to know what those tariffs are going to do to prices, especially when Amazon's so reliant on stuff coming out of China. And at that point, 19% said they agreed with the White House it was a political move. So, Dino, 1,400 votes. Now let's go back up to our the current, and I have to say accurate poll. Dino, can you refresh for us real quick? Let's see what happens on the air. Look at that. Okay. So now, look at that. Now we're over 200 votes.
That
in
is
60 seconds.
Wow.
Okay, and 60% are saying it's still bad. They should have never backed off of it. And 30% saying it was a political move. Are you seeing any comments on it, Celeste?
Well, I'm still trying to log in right
we're
now.
having login issues?
My computer's a little slow to the program, so we'll get to that in a quick second.
Well, no worries about that. That's for sure. All right. So anyway, please continue voting in our poll question. Celeste will log on because this whole show revolves around you guys and some of your comments. And, of course, we want to know what you have to say. Well, it was our big story yesterday morning. By the way, just speaking of numbers, we had thousands of people watching yesterday's streaming show.
Yes, we did.
I believe it was well over 3,000 people watched as we were kind of breaking that story that there'd been an attack at the Tesla. It's kind of a dealership, but also a service center. Well, now we've got the update, but we don't have the mug shot. I call this the bad spelling arsonist case, Celeste, because the police have made an arrest, and one thing we know, whoever the guy is that was responsible for this, he has no idea how to spell a basic word like thief. Got that wrong. It's only 5 letters. You're going to go in, you're going to vandalize. You're probably now going to face federal charges that'll put you behind bars for years and years, so we don't have to put up with your poor spelling.
Isn't it I before E except after C?
Thank you, Celeste. Thank you.
Who else remembers that from 3rd grade?
Yeah. Well, now here's the thing. So he did set a vehicle on fire. Thank goodness there weren't a bunch of other vehicles. I'm very familiar with that. It's right across from a Costco out there on Sossaman in Mesa, and there are a lot of vehicles that are parked out there, maybe getting ready for service or something along those lines. So I believe it was only the one vehicle. It was a Cybertruck that was attacked in this particular case. But then the update is, by the way, the suspect,
yes,
remember, never convicted, only arrested, not guilty till proven guilty. But the suspect is Ian Moses, 35 years old. We still don't have a mugshot. All right.
We need to see the mugshot, Ron.
There you are. And then Celeste is going to interact with you guys for the whole rest of the show. But first, let's bring you the mystery cam. Oh, I like this one. Look at that nice bridge.
Ooh.
Where do you guys think this is? We'll be back in just 2 quick minutes. And thanks for starting your 10 o'clock hour with Fox 10 Talks. Okay, so we have
A lot of guesses.
Yes.
Good ones, too, Ron.
I think so.
So Angela Brockelman with Michigan. Many of you have said Michigan. We've got Memphis from Darren Lloyd. Kentucky from Leo M. Michael Lewis says Pittsburgh, PA.
Now, hold on one sec. So I see Bo Jackson. See his comment right there? And he says we just highlighted Upper Michigan in the house.
In the house.
So does that mean he's watching from the UP? Or he's guessing the UP?
Yeah,
Tell us, Bo.
know.
Because if you're up in the UP, that is, there is a waterfall up there, Celeste. That is the second biggest waterfall in the eastern U.S., only number 2 to Niagara Falls.
Oh, wow.
It's called Tequamanon Falls.
Okay.
And, of course, I had to go check it out. But, yeah, love the UP. And let's see.
So people are saying this is Michigan. We got a lot of Michigans in there, too.
Yeah, the George
Pennsylvania.
Rogers Clark Memorial Bridge, according to Sammy G.
So George Rogers Clark, do you know who that is, Ron?
No. I'm always confused by people that feel like they have 3 first names.
George,
or
Rogers,
Roger or
and
Clark.
Clark.
Are you Clark? Can I call you Clark? Or can I call you Roger?
Or are they all like 3 different people who built the bridge or something?
So did Sammy... Oh, she said Kentucky. All right.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Lisa Dinsmore said she's going with Leo on this one. Angela Brockelman says, I almost said Pennsylvania, Jim. Michigan somewhere, Mary Stringham says.
Yeah. Well, okay. So
where are you going to go, Ron?
I guess I will go with Kentucky.
Okay. You're going to go Kentucky?
Mostly on the strength of Sammy G, but what do you say?
Sammy G. Can we flash it up one more time?
Yeah, sure.
Let's see.
This is like when you're in the spelling bee and you ask for it to be used in a sentence.
May I phone a friend? That is also taking me back to 3rd grade.
Yeah. Are you going to go with all the Michiganders?
I'm going to go with the Michiganders.
All right. Here comes the answer, everybody. Once again, Dino Fazzini has given us the...
MC.
Mystery camp.
Oh, Jefferson, Indiana.
Now, hold on one moment. Please.
Jefferson, Indiana.
All right. I have to go directly. Hang on. Look, because it's a streaming show, we don't have to, stick to a format. Here's I'm going to say that the camera is in Jeffersonville, right back at that one guy's auto shop or whatever that is. I don't know. Is that
which
a dentist
auto
office?
shop?
No, it's like a mortgage company. And
okay.
I'm going to say that the camera is in Jeffersonville, Indiana, the very southernmost part, and that it is looking at Louisville, Kentucky on the other side. But Celeste, just give me a moment here. Let me just go to...
Okay, while you do that, I'm going to go ahead and share some of the comments, Ron.
Please.
People have been sharing about...
Please.
Folks are talking about the spelling of thief.
Yes.
And by the way, Sammy G said, yeah, that it did happen across from her Costco. You mentioned that over on Sossaman.
That's a great
Yeah,
Costco.
that's her Costco. We do have some folks say they believe and they remember the I before E except after C, but there's some exceptions. There's some exceptions. Let me see if I can find that comment because the exceptions were, Linda Monter says there are so many exceptions to that rule. Neighbor,
Here we go.
way, 8, and height. Did you find it?
Yeah, I did.
All right, buddy.
But go ahead. I don't want to. I mean, you're on a roll, Celeste.
Well, no,
if
that
we
was.
need to provide an English lesson. Let's do so.
Can we call Miss Warner, please?
Maybe
our 3rd grade teacher.
Maybe the one guy's watching from the old Hooskow, and he's listening to us explain how you spell certain words.
Ron, what is a hooskow?
It's a jail. Come on, Celeste. All right.
Call it the pen. I'm just kidding.
I remember when I first learned the word Hooskow.
Yes.
I think I was in 6th grade, and I thought, that's going to be my favorite word of all time.
And now you've been using it.
I have.
Hooskow.
Yeah. Okay. Dean Fazzini, I don't think you got... Whoa. What's happening? Why can you see the city through my phone? My phone is not green. That's weird. But anyway,
but
Dean
it's
says,
white.
Oh, look at this.
Because sometimes it
Look at
keys
this.
this way.
Look
You
at
are
this.
correct. So
You are correct. Glenn, are you doing that? Are you doing like a manual zoom? This is freaking me out because there's nobody on the camera.
Okay, so let's see. It was just a city shot, right? We don't have a cam at Kentucky Derby. No Derby shot.
Yeah, that's from earlier. So,
okay.
But anyway, the bottom line is Dean says, I'm correct. I'm a competitive person, Celeste, and guess what?
What's
we
that?
have spent way too much time on this.
Is there any other conversations on your phone you'd like to show us?
Probably not. But let's get on to some of our other big stories this morning, one of which has to do with They are rolling out what is considered to be one of the toughest new fentanyl laws anywhere in the U.S.
Yes, here in Arizona.
And in this case, we do have a mugshot. And there was an Arizona woman who is the very first to face charges now. This is really serious. New state law. Cruzita Leon is accused of selling fentanyl to a man who died last year. She is charged under the sale of lethal fentanyl law, which makes it a Class 2 felony. Celeste, go ahead and ask me because I did the research. What does that mean in terms of time behind bars?
What does that mean in terms of time in the Hooskow?
Okay, Celeste. Thank you. Now you're gonna use that word.
Actually, Michael Lewis wants to know how to spell Hooskow.
Really? Is Michael Lewis on? Oh, look.
He said, how do
great.
you spell Hooskow?
Yeah, he's definitely one of our favorite commentators.
Yes.
Anyway, the research shows that a Class 2 felony is anywhere from 3 years to 12 and a half. They're serious about this. I mean, you want to be
a lot of
You want
time.
to be a fentanyl dealer? Any one of your customers, you could get yourself into some real trouble. Once again, innocent till proven guilty. But this is a case where the arrest has been made and police feel like they have a pretty good case. But that's if you don't have any priors, Celeste. If you have a couple of prior convictions in fentanyl cases, you can get up to 35 years behind bars.
Well, I mean, we've seen all these cases where even like young people will take one pill.
Right.
And
that's it.
And they die.
Yeah.
And you never know how much of the drug is actually in the pill.
Right.
You don't know who's making it, obviously. It's off the streets.
It's some kind of a bootleg.
Yeah. So
no kidding. All right. Well, we're going to follow that case all the way through. Once again, innocent till proven guilty, but police have made the arrest. So, Celeste, the push is on for people to quit using the artificial food dyes.
Mm-hmm.
And recently, the FDA had already banned red dye number 3 because of cancer risks in lab animals. But now there's all these other ones that are apparently getting ready to go away.
Okay.
And so I did some digging on this one as well for you.
Okay, I'm glad you did.
I mean,
look
I know
at you with the.
I know you're busy with Ty. 7 to 10.
Look at you with the research.
Yeah. Well, so here are the replacements. Here's what is going to actually be in your food, everybody. Once they start rolling these out, because in the story that I saw, they were actually interviewing one of these food experts who said, this is how we're going to make the swap.
Yes.
Because some of the other dyes were like petroleum-based, and I think people would look at it and say, maybe I shouldn't be eating that.
Okay.
And there are allegations that some of the hyperactivity disorder, the HDAD stuff, which they're still trying to figure out, could potentially have been linked to some of these artificial dyes. That's the argument.
That is the argument. Yep.
So here is what they're going to come up with instead. Carrot juice for red. Beet juice for red.
Carrot juice is orange.
Okay, all right. Paprika is for orange. Don't throw me off my game here, Celeste.
Sorry, let me let you finish.
Okay. Paprika is for orange, and spinach will be for green.
Oh, I thought you were going to say blue.
Yeah,
Okay.
I don't know what they've got a plan. I know that much.
That was some really good research, Ron. I just did some research on Hooskow. So it sounds like who's gal.
Okay.
Sammy G said in the chat box, like
Okay.
who's gal.
Yeah.
But who's gal?
Right.
The Spanish word juzgar means to judge.
Okay.
Juzgar.
And that's its derivation? That's where the word comes from?
Yep, this is what according to the web.
Okay.
From which came the Mexican Spanish word juzgado, which is court or tribunal.
Okay.
So in these words, obviously, the H is like the J, juzgar.
Okay.
When Americans in the Old West heard the word, they spelled it in a way that it sounded, to them. Juzgao.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, they came to the American West and they said, juzgar. Like,
Okay.
that's the
Right.
jail.
All
and
right.
then juzgao.
Yeah.
It's almost
Can
like
you-
tortilla.
Okay, can you use it as an adjective?
No, I can't. Good try, though.
Let's see. We've got about 3 minutes left, but I think we can squeeze both these stories in.
All right,
I
let's
love
go.
this next one. So Martha Stewart made an admission to Kelly Clarkson that she has never ordered food delivery in her life. By the way, do you know how old she is?
I don't know if it matters how old she is, but she looks amazing.
Oh, gosh. She looks
She's
60.
incredible.
She's 83.
Wow.
Anyway, she said, she said, I've never done it. I've never once actually ordered out food. And I'm like, who hasn't ordered pizza? Hasn't everybody?
Well, maybe like somebody she was with ordered, but maybe she didn't order it out.
It's
I don't know.
possible.
Or if you're having Martha Stewart over for a dinner party, like, are you really going to order pizza?
Correct.
Are you going to order like,
Okay, but what if she's just sitting around her PJs? You mean to tell me she's never called Domino's?
Or even ask somebody to pick up Jack in the Box on the way back to the house?
Do you use any of those services like Uber Eats? Have you ever used it?
I used it once, and the food came back cold, and the fries soggy.
Yeah.
No bueno.
You know when you go from direct delivery with like a Domino's?
Uh-huh.
It's
better.
That's a nice, hot, fresh pizza, that's for sure.
I'll just pick up.
Okay, how much, Celeste?
Yes,
before
sir.
we hit the break here. We're all over the map today, people.
But you are loving it in the chat box.
How much let's say you were on the flight.
Mm-hmm.
You already got on. You're in your seat.
Mm-hmm.
And the gate attendant maybe forgot to make the announcement. I don't know. But a passenger on a recent Delta flight said that the gate agent came on the plane and said, we need at least one of you to get off now.
Oh, so wait, why? Well, wouldn't you know that there were two people in one seat?
Well, it's a Reddit post, so we don't, sometimes they don't give all the details. But the guy said that it was morning after Easter, and I don't know, maybe it was one of their frequent flyers or whatever. How much would you want, Celeste, to get up and walk off that plane and give up your seat? Oh, by the way, he was in first class. I don't know if you obviously pay more.
Right.
Like a $300 ticket's probably going to be $700.
Maybe.
Like that.
How do you know that so well, Ron?
Because I've once again done the research on this one, Celeste. Don't throw me under the bus. All right, look, we got 20 seconds left. Give me a number.
I would need triple.
Okay.
Yeah.
So $2,100.
Yes.
If it's a
$700 flight.
The guy got $3,000,
wow, good
and
for
I'm sure he was
him.
booked on the very next flight.
I bet he was, and I bet he got a round of applause for everybody too.
Ladies and gentlemen, here comes your mystery cam. Ooh, I like that one too. Oh wait, no, we've already done the mystery cam.
Yeah.
This is just a good camera.
Ron.
And you're looking live at Louisville, Kentucky. And from the angle of this camera, when you are looking right into the downtown, if they took that camera and turned it on a 180, you would be looking at Churchill Downs. I recommend to anybody who ever goes on a little drive and road trip through that part of the world, go see Churchill Downs. They give you the thorough tour. You go right to the pens where they keep these beautiful horses just before they start racing. And the story that comes out of Louisville is so cool. How about this? The horse that will be starting out of gate 15 at the 151st running of the Kentucky Derby has long odds. But it might be the most sentimental pick in years at Churchill Downs. We're talking about the horse called Render Judgment. It is owned in part by Dream Walkin' Farms, which was run by the late country music legend Toby Keith. This is basically Toby Keith's horse. The singer with hits that include Beer for My Horses and I Should Have Been a Cowboy. You remember he passed away now a little more than a year ago from cancer, but this will be the first Kentucky Derby entrant for the Oklahoma-based thoroughbred and racing operation that Keith, who's looking down from heaven with a big smile on his face, and I think a lot of us will be rooting for Render Judgment going all the way back. All right, so this morning, got a chance to talk to Fox's Doug Luzader. I think he's the number one reporter in Washington. He's really got his finger on the pulse of what's going on up there. And today, as you know, is day 100. It's getting a lot of talk of this second time around for the Trump presidency. And here is what he had to say. This is Doug's report.
John, good morning. The White House has been talking a lot about border security. That's a real strength for the president based on the polls we're seeing out now. And there are a lot of polls out now coinciding with this 100-day mark. We will also hear the president today talking about the economy. And there the numbers are not so good. For the White House, these signs along the North Lawn tell a success story. Illegal immigrants arrested for other crimes and a border that they say is all but sealed now.
Average day under Joe Biden, more than 1,800 gotaways. Yesterday, 38.
Border czar Tom Homan appeared early yesterday morning at the White House to drive an issue where the president enjoys his broadest support at this 100-day mark, border enforcement. But this morning, it's Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent's turn.
We'll see who's coming in good faith and who's not.
He'll be talking up the economy and efforts to hammer out tariff deals with dozens of U.S. trading partners. We expect the White House to announce a deal to offer some tariff relief to car makers, but there are still concerns about the impact these tariffs are having on the markets and the overall economy.
I think it would be constructive for the Treasury Secretary, as they've already done, show signs of progress, show indications that there are prospects for these deals to be cut. China's the big challenge.
And that uncertainty may be driving down the president's polling numbers. Right now, our poll shows his approval rating at just 44%. That is the lowest we've seen at the 100-day mark for administrations going back to 2001. The White House says the president is following through on promises to shake up the government. Democrats say he's gone too far.
First 100 days of the Trump administration have been characterized by chaos, cruelty, and corruption.
Now, the president today will argue that his game plan for tariffs will help bring manufacturing back to the United States. He will really message that in Michigan, and that's a state where that strategy, Ron, will really be put to the test.
Yeah, you know, we have this new streaming show we do on our YouTube channel every morning at 10 a.m., Doug, and we had a poll on there yesterday. 56% said they think the reason his numbers are going down is that people are getting tired of the chaos. Only 6% said, you know, the economy was okay till the tariffs. It's time to kind of dial them back. I think people are trying to figure out on the right track, wrong track, because the wrong track number is pretty good size, why we're on the wrong track.
You know, as far as the tariffs are concerned, the White House is looking for one big deal that will be kind of a sign to the markets that more deals are on the way. And what they have been saying behind the scenes is that look to India. That's where we may see the first big agreement with a big trading partner.
And then you also wonder about if one of the big goals is to bring these factories and manufacturing jobs back to the U.S., how long do we have to wait? A lot of people say that's a long game.
It may take a while, and that is really the reason why, one of the reasons why we're going to hear the president today saying that these tariffs are going to be adjusted for automakers. It is, to use the White House language, an effort to give car makers more runway to eventually bring manufacturing back.
Interesting. Okay, Doug, thanks. See you tomorrow. And here is an updated look at where things stand with the poll question right now. Now 62% saying people really need to know what these tariffs are doing to prices. Only 28% saying it's a political move by Amazon. But of course, as we have updated you, they said it was an idea that was never finished, never finalized, never fully approved. I don't know if every idea has to go by Jeff Bezos or not, or how they work that out. But that's at least what they're saying now. So let me just read a couple of these comments, and then we got a special guest for you here on Fox 10 Talks. Let's see. Amazon, this is Kimmy Winnie, says, Amazon has plenty of inventory. The tariffs are unlikely to really affect their inventory. Let's see. Viper Class says it's kind of hard to tout transparency when you put the blackout curtains up. And then Nick Ducks says no matter if they're shown or not, they are going to form part of the price. Weirdo18 says if this was legit, they would have also pointed the same thing out during the years of Biden inflation. Okay, so we appreciate your comments, and if you're just tuning in and you're saying, hold on now, that's not Celeste. It's Steve Nielsen, everybody, with a rare appearance here on the streaming show. Hi, buddy.
How's it going?
Just great.
I think this is actually my second time on this show. The first time was in a car driving back from the California wildfires.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Did you ever come into our little closet that was like the 3x3 phone booth that we used to do this show in?
I loved that room. I actually, when you vacated that,
Yes.
I begged for that to become my office.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, the problem
work.
is you don't have like full range of movement. You know, you're at your desk and you have to kind of get up and shimmy out the door.
But it's an office.
Yeah, it
That's
is
a big
an office,
deal.
that's for sure. Steve, tell everybody why you're popping in today. I think some of this work you're doing for us is really quite amazing, but let's talk about it.
Well, I always love finding unique stories out there, people that just do things that the rest of us didn't even consider. So I sort of went on this treasure hunting vibe for the past 2 weeks. So first off, I did a story with these two brothers that do magnet fishing.
Okay.
I don't know if you know what that is, but basically they get this giant magnet. They attach it to a rope, and they just chuck it into a river or a lake, and then they reel it in, and they see if they're able to hook onto anything.
So this is nothing official.
No.
This is just a couple of guys and a magnet. Now, what kind of a magnet is it?
It's like it looks like a hockey puck almost, like a larger hockey puck.
Okay.
But the ones they had, I think they said it cost something like $175, and it had the pull force of 3,500 pounds. So when it gets locked onto something, it's not letting go.
Wow. Okay, so here's the video that you guys shot. Tell us a little bit more about these dudes and what they... So do they mostly go to the Tempe Town Lake?
It's just the closest one to them. So they'll go like
Okay.
after work, things like that. It's just a fun way for the two of them to bond. They had
Okay.
been, they weren't very close for a long time. 3 years ago, one of them saw a YouTube video about magnet fishing, and they're like, all right, yeah, let's go do that and hang out, become a little bit
yeah.
closer. So they go here a lot. This is one of their favorite places, and they go under the bridges because they find old railroad tire or ties, railroad ties, things like that.
Yeah, sure.
Typically, they
Oh,
find
look at
trash.
those coins.
That's actually a Russian ruble he's pointing at there.
Wow.
So they find little things like that, but then every so often they hook onto something,
Right.
and it's almost kind of a whoa moment because it's too heavy. And again, it
I'm
has the pull force
sure.
of 3,500 pounds. So now
Right.
it's oh boy, we got to pull in whatever this thing
Yeah,
is.
no kidding.
So we were there as they pulled up, I think 3 or 4 different electric scooters in the water.
Oh, wow.
And those took a lot of
yeah,
lifting
I know.
and
I
everything.
hate when people do that.
Why are they doing that?
Why?
I don't
Yeah,
get it.
right?
And these guys made the point, if they're going to be out there doing this, they want to make sure they don't just get unattached from it and just move on to a different spot.
Yeah.
They want to bring it in.
Yeah, good.
They got Ironman swimming that takes place out there.
Yeah.
We got fish in that lake. We don't need all that rust in there and everything. Let's clean up the lake.
And it's not that deep.
No.
You know, it's not like stuff is down there, 80 feet or 100 feet. It's just not that deep.
It's not deep at all.
So, yeah, I feel like there's a novel to be written there with just the case of the missing Russian ruble.
Yes.
Right.
Well, what was great is I could have done a whole story on just why is there a Russian ruble here. But these guys had so many cool stories, too. They found what they believe is a cannonball.
Okay.
I talked to an expert on this that
Right.
actually studies old weaponry in the Arizona area.
Yeah.
She told me, she goes, I cannot definitively say whether or not this is a cannonball. Could be a mill ball,
Okay.
but it really could be a cannonball. The question is, how did it get into the
Right.
lake? Could have come from upriver, just
Right.
years and years. Maybe it was protecting a mine, something like that.
Okay.
Who knows?
All right. So you came with not just one video,
That's
but
right.
a second video. Oh, hold on.
I do
Second
love the
video.
Diamondbacks.
Yeah. Let's talk about this guy. Who is he and where's he prospecting for gold?
He is awesome. He is if he feels like a prospector the second you meet him. He's up in Morristown. He goes by the name of Raw.
Which is on the way up toward Wickenburg.
Yeah, it's
Yep.
just about 10 minutes before that.
Yep.
And he has some claims out there, and he does tours for people that want to go digging for gold. And he teaches you where to go, where to find the best spots.
Okay.
One of his hints was you want to find dark gravel, not wet gravel, but dark gravel. And then some rocks that have interesting colors, like green rocks, things like that, because that means there's other minerals in there.
Yeah.
And he helps you dig through it, go back to his house, and then you sift through it with the water and everything. And
Okay.
he said there's been renewed interest in the last
Mm-hmm.
couple weeks. Gold prices are at 30. I think last night it was $3,330 an ounce,
Crazy.
which is
It wasn't that long.
way
It was
above.
below 2,000.
yeah.
Sure,
He said when he started doing this 30 years ago, it was under $200 an ounce. So you're not going to get rich doing this. Let's be honest. You never know when you find a nugget. He's found some pretty good nuggets before.
Yeah.
But this was on the full day of doing it. He gave me my little amount that I got here.
Oh, look at
I'm
you.
so happy we can't zoom in on this because you would need a microscope.
Yeah, no kidding.
You really can't
It's like a
see.
flat-
Oh, you can zoom in. Okay.
Okay. So turn it. Yeah.
It's nothing. In fact, I think the green screen is blowing it out right there. It's just nothing.
Hey, you got a great job when you can hang out with prospectors. That is for sure.
true.
Steve Nielsen, everybody. We appreciate you, bud. Thanks for stopping in. Come by, see us again.
Will do.
And
Thanks for
we'll
having
be
me.
back with Celeste in 2 minutes. Welcome back, everybody. You are looking at Lakewood Ranch. It's in Florida. If you've never heard of it, it is, maybe about a half-hour drive south of Tampa on the highway that goes down toward Naples and Fort Myers. So, looks like a pretty nice place for people to spend a little bit of time. Florida, there's so many people moving to Florida, but it's still... If you can avoid the hurricanes, it's a pretty nice place to spend some time. Okay, so welcome back to more of Fox 10 Talks. And we have a great story for you that we're so excited about. Did you hear about this fella right here, Geno Suarez? If there's one thing he's good at, Celeste, it is knocking them out of the ballpark. Home run after home run. And what he just did this past weekend is making him an immortal in the game. You heard about it, right?
No, tell me more.
He hit 4 home runs.
In one game.
In one game.
Wow, good for him.
And I think the last one may have actually won the game for him. But so, the D-backs.
Is he just a hitter?
Hang on one sec. Glenn, what was the sitch? Oh, he tied it in the bottom of the 9th, and then they went on to win? They did not win.
Did they just tie?
Let's just move on to our next story. They didn't even win.
What a buzzkill.
Yeah. No, we got to tell you, because there are only 19 gentlemen in the history of the game. Keep this in mind, Celeste.
Okay.
Just do a little bit of math with me here.
19 men.
No, start over. Clear out your calculator.
It's raining men.
Each team plays 162 games, 81 at home and 81 on the road.
162. Okay.
162.
81.
Times
81.
all of the MLB teams, times how many years have they been playing MLB baseball? About 120.
Wow. It's a lot of umpires.
Yeah. Once again, Glenn, if you know, you can say it in my ear. I'm trying to remember exactly. It's about 120 years that MLB has been out there. I mean, so we're talking millions of games.
Yes.
And 19 men have ever hit 4 home runs in one game.
Only 19
Yes.
out of all of those games and all of
Isn't that
those
incredible?
seasons.
I mean, even hitting like 2 home runs, even if you're like in the cleanup position and the manager knows you're the man when it comes to hitting home runs, it's still only 19.
What's this guy's name again?
Geno Suarez.
So, what would be cool is to sit down with Geno and say, Geno, walk me through game day and how you prep. Is there a visualization that happens?
Yeah.
What are you having for breakfast? Is there like fruit snacks that you're having right before the game?
Okay.
Like what are the little things
Right.
that you do?
Yeah. What do you chew on in the dugout?
Yeah.
Between innings?
Is it the big chew bubble gum?
Yeah, maybe so.
Maybe, I don't
right?
know.
Is it, again, the fruit snacks that Celeste wants to know so much about?
Is it a call from mom? It's all these little things. It's the superstitions that surround sports.
Yeah.
Is so crazy.
It really is. But here's what's so cool about it, Celeste.
Oh, Mary Stringham said lost by 1, Ron.
Yes.
She was trying to help us out. Thank you, Glenn and Mary.
Between Glenn and Mary. But here's the sitch, Celeste.
Yes.
That bat is going in the Baseball Hall of Fame.
Oh, how fun in Cooperstown?
Yes.
Oh, how
and
great.
And you've been there, right?
Yeah, it's really it's a special place.
I went to the Pro Football Hall of Fame in Canton, Ohio about a year ago.
Okay.
It's amazing.
Did you cry?
I didn't cry.
I know how much you love football.
I didn't cry. Actually, maybe I did shed a tear when I realized it was like $43 to get in. That's outrageous.
Only 1 tier?
I said to myself, what if I tried to bring my whole family? I would have had to taken out a loan.
You wait
It's
outside.
too much.
You wait outside. When I
Right.
come out, I'm going to give you my ticket, and it's your turn to go in.
Anyway, once again, we get
Jeez
diverted.
Louise.
Bottom line is, if you're ever in Cooperstown, now he's going to keep using that bat, I think, for most of this season.
Question for
But
you.
then it will be shipped off.
Is this one of the new torpedo bats?
Let's go back and look. We have
Let's see.
we got the
Let's see.
access.
No, it
I don't
doesn't
think
look
that
like
is
it.
torpedo.
So for those of you who are listening and watching, and you may not know what a torpedo bat is, it's the newer bat. Was it the Yankees that were using it, or Dodgers? It was one of those big
I
teams
think it
on
was
one
a
of the
guy with the Yankees. Right?
And so
Yeah.
it's bigger in the middle of that barrel that you see, almost shaped kind of like a bowling pin.
Yeah. That's a good description, actually. Yeah.
And so the middle portion of that barrel would hit the ball harder and farther. And I think that game wasn't one guy that had 4 home runs, but I think the whole team had several home runs, and they said it was because of the bat.
Let's change courses for just a moment here, Celeste. If I told you that Willie Nelson was having a birthday today, how old would you guess he was?
Oh, I'm going to say like 82.
That's pretty good. But he's actually 92.
Oh, my goodness.
And he's still out there performing. It's keeping him young.
In that vest and in that hanky on around his head, you know?
Yeah,
it's
right?
so great.
Yeah, the old bandana. Okay, so born in Abbott, Texas. He got his first guitar from his grandpa. I love that.
Sweet.
When he was 6, recorded his first song in 1956. And he's really just kind of been Mr. Austin, Texas ever since.
Austin, Texas.
Right?
Well, he was there first, and now the rest of the country has been flocking there.
One of my favorite songs ever is called Lukenbach, Texas. Let's go back to Lukenbach, Texas. Waylon and Willie and the Boys. Now, Waylon is Waylon Jennings.
Okay.
You can go find this song on any of your music services. So let's go back to, I can't sing it, but let's go back to Lukenbach, Texas. Waylon and Willie and the Boys.
Yes.
So Willie is Willie Nelson. Waylon Jennings, I just happened to be, about a week or so ago. I don't even know if people know this, but I was chatting with some folks at the Mesa City Cemetery.
Okay.
And they tell me every day tourists come in from around the world and they want to see where Waylon Jennings' gravestone is.
Wow.
He is buried in the Mesa Cemetery.
Is Waylon Jennings?
Yes.
Wow, that's cool.
Yeah,
Have we ever done a story on that as to why that is?
Well, I know he lived out in the East Valley for many, many years. He was actually in once here into the building in the very earliest days of the morning show. It was such an honor to meet him, but don't know for sure. He passed more than 20 years ago. But every single day, I actually took a picture of it. You know what? I'll grab it off my phone and show it tomorrow.
Okay, perfect.
But yeah,
I'm looking forward to that.
Waylon buried in the Mesa Cemetery. Let's get on to the next birthday, which is Jerry Seinfeld celebrating a birthday today. Celeste, how old would you guess Jerry is?
Seinfeld.
Yeah.
65.
See, now he's 71.
Wow.
And he's still out there plugging along.
Well, I think there's something about, don't you always hear, we have these health stories about laughter and finding joy in the small things.
Yes.
I mean, he's kind of grumpy sometimes, but but I do think there's something grumpy funny about his grumpiness.
Yeah.
And so it kind of works out. Maybe that's what's kept him looking so young and doing that like coffee in the cars thing.
Yes, right.
You know, where he hangs out with other comedians and you get to, it's really pretty cool.
So the theater that's right next door to the Fox Studios is, what is it, Arizona Federal now? Something like that?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
When it first came out, it was the Dodge Theater, and the number one, like the very first day it opened, was the Jerry Seinfeld act.
You know,
and I went to go see him. He was amazing. Hilarious.
Ron, Gary, and I were in there watching him too.
Were you really?
So you saw him next. We did too.
Do you remember what he said when he first came on stage? This cracked me up, and I'm like, oh, this is going to be a great show. He walked out, and he looked at the audience, and he said, "Welcome to the Dodge Theater. Have you driven a Ford lately?" And I thought, all those Dodge executives, all that money they're paying for the naming rights.
I know. Oh, my
anyway.
goodness.
Okay, one other thing we're going to mention. Today is National Zipper Day.
Oh,
Celeste?
That's good. That if you need zippers that work.
Yeah, Gideon Sunback invented it on April 29th, 1913.
Yes.
As what's now become more of an essential part of everyday life. Would you agree with that statement?
I completely agree.
Okay.
I mean, don't we usually have zippers on most parts of our clothing?
Yes,
every
we do.
single day.
Yes.
You know, unless you're wearing the stretchy pants.
Correct. Or buttons, if you're using buttons.
You could use buttons. By the way, Ron,
Yeah.
quick shout out this morning to Husky Mom. She said she's late to the chat this morning, but
All right.
chimed in. So good morning to you, Husky Mom.
Okay.
And then quick shout out as well to some of our newer, listeners and viewers here. Darren Lloyd said 71 is the new 35.
Nice, Darren.
Nice
Love
work,
it.
Darren.
Celeste, let me ask, because I don't know. Do you have to leave early again today?
No, we're good.
You're good. Oh, perfect. Okay. So you have got to check out this video. Ready? Did you hear about the guy who was running for his life from a polar bear. Now, look, we've covered a lot of chases over the years.
Car chase.
A lot of car chases.
Llama chase.
With llamas. But we have never had a polar bear chase until what I'm about to show you right now. Ready?
Okay.
We're just going to roll it here on VO8. And, okay. So there's the polar bear.
Okay.
Look, there's a guy who's like about a half a block away.
Oh, my goodness.
Look at this. I don't know what he had in his hand, like a broom or
Oh,
something.
wow.
What was he doing?
It looked like maybe he was like shoveling or, moving the snow out of the way or something.
Oh, maybe it was a shovel,
How'd
yeah.
that polar bear get out?
Well, this is in a town called Svalbard, which is way up on the far northern edge of Norway. Like, this is about as close a town to the North Pole as you can be and still be in civilization.
Oh, and look at the polar bear sitting there now, just chilling.
He's like, well, now who am I going to try to chase and eat?
So this is the same situation. Like for a lot of us, we have bobcats in some of our neighborhoods, or we see coyotes because we live in their territory. So this is a situation where this is a polar bear's home.
Okay. Is this going to be one of those talks, Celeste, where we're encroaching on the Gila monsters and we can't build houses anymore?
All I know is the S. Marino 19 said llama drama.
Oh, for sure.
Do you remember that?
Yeah. Okay. Hey, we are excited to talk about the 11 o'clock hour. I was just glancing around to see if it was going to be Ty or Anita today. And ladies and gentlemen, Ty is here. Hello.
Good morning, Ty.
It is me. Good morning, you guys.
You.
What's going on?
All right, so we're talking about...
By the way, did you see that polar bear chase that we just showed?
It was pretty incredible.
Missed it.
It's in Finland.
Norway.
Oh, Norway.
Yeah,
Scandinavian. Scandinavia.
It's all the same once you get up that far north.
Right.
How could I
need to watch
forget?
this.
My husband's Norwegian. He's probably thinking, what's this woman doing?
Yeah.
So we're talking about going to the gym.
Okay.
We have a trainer that's coming in, and she is so well versed on, just getting back into the gym if you maybe want to start again.
Oh.
Some tips, tricks about staying with a program.
Yes.
If you should get a trainer, if you should come up with your own routine. For older Americans, we're talking about that too, because she's got a wealth of knowledge about staying mobile and what you should be doing.
Yeah.
And then like all those trends, there are so many workout trends out there, and it seems like we're always talking about kind of the newest things. So she's going to kind of pick through what's kind of fad and fact when it comes to some of these different workouts.
So she brought her knowledge, and I was just looking at her. She brought her gun show, too.
Her gun show
She brought
too.
her gun show,
2
people.
minutes, don't go away. Here they come, everybody. Ty and Anita.
All right, welcome on in. It is 11 o'clock, which means it's time for Fox 10 Talks. Anita is making her way here. I think she may have forgot what day it was.
That's okay.
That she was supposed to be here at 11 o'clock, but at least, oh, there she is. Hurry up, come on. You're late. You're late.
I would never be late to a training.
She's not starting it off right, is she, Laura?
I'm always on time with the gym.
We have plans for you.
We have plans for you. Did you hear that? You're in big trouble now, sister. All right, Laura, first of all, introduce yourself, please.
Well, my name is Laura Stratton, and I'm one of the owners of Burn It, Build It Fitness here in the Valley. We are a mom and pop place, and we are kind of Arizona's premier group studio that specializes in weights and cardio. So
How'd you get started?
we used to be in the big box gyms. And after being in the big box gyms for a long time, we wanted to have a more impactful purpose on helping everybody throughout their fitness journey and not just those that could afford personal training.
Sure.
And so we started more of this boutique style studio so we can have a much more hands-on approach and help them with all things fitness and not just one or two areas.
But yourself, how'd you get into fitness? How did you say, I want to make people healthier? And I personally think when you're healthy, you're happy.
Without a doubt.
Yeah?
Yep, they go hand in hand.
Yeah.
So I was an athlete, grew up in Montana, and then I played college basketball. And,
Oh, wow.
And then from there, I played a little bit professionally and played overseas. And,
Cool.
and I started coaching. And while I was coaching, I really had a desire to help people and train and get better because I'm not the tallest basketball player in the world.
So you don't have to.
You got to make up for it in other ways,
I gotta
right?
be a little
Yeah.
meaner and a little spicier. So, and I have to be better with my angles and be stronger, quicker, and more explosive. So I spent a lot of time learning those aspects. And so then I kind of worked as a college strength and conditioning coach for a little bit.
How cool.
I worked for a semi-pro soccer team where we fed into the Salt Lake Real.
Oh, cool.
And then I kind of fell into fitness, and I found out I really like working with general population.
Yeah.
And I really like them accomplishing things that they never thought they could. And so it just seemed to be a good fit for me to kind of meander. And so I gave up the college realms and came to work with general population full time.
Let's talk about this because you kind of mentioned something at the top that it kind of struck me is that, you guys are a smaller gym, so you kind of are able to focus more on the individual. Because when I first started going to the gym, I just went to your normal run-of-the-mill big box gym, as you called it. And it's kind of overwhelming if you don't know what you're doing. If you don't have anybody kind of helping you, I got stuck into the routine where I was like, I don't know what any of those machines do. They look intimidating, so I'm just going to run on the treadmill. So I spent a lot of money for a treadmill at a gym.
You are not alone. That's the majority of people we see, and the beauty of the smaller group scenario is we can work on movement patterns, we can help you with your nutrition, and we can start to teach you how to move well so you can thrive long term.
Sure.
And
that's
you don't
what
have
you
to wait
guys-
on equipment. That's huge too.
Yeah. Sometimes you're like, okay, bud. And a lot of people are taking those selfies,
15
Laura.
sets of 3.
I'm going to tell you what struck me when you said you can work with people to show them that they can accomplish things they never thought they could accomplish. That is what is so absolutely incredible about fitness because you're going to start out, and I practice hot yoga every day, but I'll get on the treadmill. I do weights because I know how important they are. I'm not as heavy as your weights, but I like to do the weights, and you start out by thinking I can't even touch my toes, or I can't even do one jumping jack. I can't even pick up like a 2-pound dumbbell or 1.5, and then you pick it up. And then you might do 2 reps, and then you might do 2 jumping jacks. And then the next thing you know, you're doing 50 jumping jacks, and you're adding some burpees, and you're picking up a 5-pound weight. That's what's so incredible to me about fitness is yes, you can.
Absolutely. I get questions all the time of, what's your most successful people? And success is so spread out over multiple terms. And like we've had the person that lost 100 pounds.
Yeah.
But I've also had the elderly man who was taking care of his mom and couldn't put up Christmas lights because he couldn't stand on a step stool. And after a year of working with us, he put up Christmas lights in 15 minutes. I've had the younger single mom who kids asked her if she was going to die because she could barely walk a mile, who did her first half marathon
Isn't that insane?
and ran the whole thing.
Right.
And so there's so many different avenues of success. It's not always just geared towards weight loss, but it's geared towards life and what you're able to accomplish and what you're able to get down on the floor with your kids. I trained a lady this morning, and she's like 76 years old. She did a somersault with her granddaughter. She's like, no, I'll only ever do one. And I'm never doing that again.
But she did it.
What 76-year-old is like, yeah, I'll do a somersault with my granddaughter who's 3, you know? And I was just like, how fantastic is that?
And her granddaughter is going to remember that forever. And grandma,
without a doubt.
And her granddaughter's going to say, well, my grandma is fit. I'm going to stay fit for the rest of my life. And again, tying into it, because I love fitness too, is it's just as much mental. You know, not only are you thinking I can accomplish, but you feel better. I know the first thing I do when I leave the station, I go straight to my yoga class because it clears my head and I feel better.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And something else that you kind of touched on a little bit, and I think that's what kind of motivates a lot of people, is when you start to make those little gains, it's such an accomplishment. Because like Anita said, like you might have started off not being able to do those 30 pounds and all of a sudden you're doing 30, 40, 50.
Right.
It's those little gains that kind of get you hooked. So that was kind of a foray into my next question is, for folks that maybe have that difficulty with getting motivated to go to the gym. I know we always talk about New Year's resolutions and things like that.
Yep.
Those seem to drop off so quickly. But for you who's done this for a long time and you've seen and worked with all sorts of clients, what is kind of the recipe for success, if you will, for people that stick with it?
Yeah, that's a good question. If I had the one answer, then I'd probably be on a beach in Tahiti slipping through a yoo-hoo straw.
She wouldn't have to worry about keeping the gym open because
I just have
going.
people flocking to me. You know, the hard thing about fitness is it's an everyday decision. And it never gets easier walking through the front door. But I think part of it is if you can be consistent and don't get stuck in an all or nothing mentality, because I think that's where people struggle.
When you say all or nothing mentality,
it's like, well, I got to work out 5 days a week. And if I don't work out 5 days a week, then 2 days just doesn't do anything. You know, it's like, oh, I have to work out for at least an hour. If I just do 10 minutes, it doesn't do anything. And when you get stuck in that all or nothing mentality, it's like, well, I can't do every day this week, so I can't work out all this week. I'll start Monday. As opposed to saying,
and if I ate that ding dong, I'm just going to go ahead and skip
forget
that
about the whole day,
I'm gonna eat
and I'll start
ding-dong.
later.
Yeah.
So if they can set themselves up where it's like, okay, let's start with just 2 days a week. Dedicate 2 days a week that you can gear towards your health and fitness. And then if it gets better than that and you feel like 3 days, awesome. But if you don't feel like 3 days, that's okay. Get 2 going. And then when you start to feel a little better, then it's like, well, I could fit in 3 now. And then you start to feel a little bit better. And then you're like, well, now I feel like I could do 4.
Mind over matter.
Yeah.
Without a doubt. And so it's some of it is just discipline and consistency.
Sure.
And putting it in a plan and a schedule, right? Like a doctor's appointment. You don't ever miss a doctor's appointment. So it's like plan something and nothing interrupts that time. And if all you have is 30 minutes, get in and do 30 minutes. And that's okay because it keeps you in the habit. And sometimes keeping the habit is more important than the effort that you put into it, right? Because we're busy, we get nurses. And so it's like sometimes you're like, I can commit to 30% or I'm going to pick one exercise and really challenge myself today. And then I'm just going to survive.
That's a good idea.
And that's okay too.
So even if you go, you don't necessarily have to do the full workout, but maybe just the treadmill for half an hour instead of treadmill and weights or something like that.
Yeah.
What if you're really type A and you like to work out 7 days a week, sometimes twice, 3 times a day, just because, you know, you
You're
have a lot of
overexerting
energy.
and you might
I know,
be a little
I know,
crazy.
But you just really enjoy it.
Yeah, you're going to love this answer because I believe that context matters and people forget that. You know, so if you like to work out every day and that's your sanity, I look at what are you doing for your workouts? Are you just beating your body to a pulp? And if you're like, well, no, not really. I'm taking, 45 minutes to an hour to myself every day. Well, I would say that's great. You want to do it 2 times a day? I'm okay with that because I get people that says like, well, I'm so worried about overworking out and overtraining. And I look at them, I go, well, what do you do for work? And they go, well, I sit the majority of the day. I go, so sitting 18 hours is okay, but working out 1 hour every day is too much.
Or 2 or 3.
Right? Because if you only work out 1 hour, but you sit the rest of the day, you're a sedentary person. Even though you exercise, really you sit for 16 hours a day and you're only active 1 hour. Technically, you're a sedentary person. So it's like if you need a 30-minute session in the morning, 30-minute session at night, 45, and you do different things because you sit a lot, I'm okay with that because the context is what matters. And that's what we help you to do is figure out the right context for you with your life and your goals.
We're getting a lot of comments. Can we share those with you?
Please.
Let's see. Well, Husky Mom says, can't remember where I saw the story, but did anyone else see the 100-year-old woman?
We did it right. We had the story here on Fox.
She's a workout guru. Oh, yeah. She was amazing to watch. She said she works out every day. Darren Lloyd says it's so easy to just sit on the couch. Darren, I'm with you. On that. It's hard. And then Sherry Nevada Pup says, my exercise is training and competing with my dogs. I clean my own pool. And and I dance around the house, and then I do yoga at home.
Love it.
And that's what's so great is it's whatever you want to make it.
Yeah, whatever motivates you to get off the couch.
And you know, the other thing that someone said to me once, and it kind of stuck to me because, like, you know what, you're right. Some days there are days where you just do not feel like being active. But even if you go, maybe you don't put in that 100% effort. The fact that you went is still maybe a small win,
Getting
right?
through the door is the hardest part.
Getting through the door. Yeah. And that's the cool thing about the group scenario is it's more fun to suffer with others. So even if that's the hard thing. You go to a big box gym, it's like you may not know anybody. So you feel very alone.
Yeah.
And then when you don't feel like being there, it's really easy to get unmotivated very, very fast.
Yeah.
You walk into a group training scenario, it's like you're going to see people that you know, and it's like, man, I didn't really feel like it today, but they got me going, and I got smiling, I got laughing, and I got more energy, and I was able to just, I could suffer through that next workout.
It almost becomes a little like a social thing, right?
community.
Because I bet, you'll show up 10 minutes early so you can chat with Steve and Mary a little bit about your day and get your spot and get everything set, and then you're like, oh, I'm in a really good mood, and now I want to run next to Steve and Mary.
Absolutely.
As long as Steve and Mary wear deodorant, right?
I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
It's highly encouraged.
Yeah, highly encouraged to wear the deodorant at the gym, right?
Without a doubt.
We've got about 2 minutes left, but I wanted to, without kind of jumping into our next topic here, is just to kind of talk about what kind of differentiates a group setting, and who do you think would be beneficial to go to a group setting type gym?
You know what separates the group from the big box gyms is it's for everybody, really. You know, it's for busy people that need to get in and get it done and get out. They don't have 3 hours to meander around the gym, right? So it's like they're time-based.
And something's already,
moms.
it's usually already set up for you, right?
It's already set up. The workout's done, so you don't have to think about it.
Oh, nice.
You don't have to. You just got to show up, right?
So when Ty walks in, you'll say, we're doing legs today.
And then I'm like,
this is the equipment you're using.
Absolutely. Yeah,
And
I
then
lock the door so he can't escape. Is really what I do.
I'm not going to say, but sometimes I do hear complaints. Maybe not from Ty, but I do hear complaints about workouts. Wink, wink.
It's a love-hate relationship.
Well, actually, it's probably the next day when you're so
when
sore.
you're sore.
Oh,
but you know what?
I love that.
That's a great feeling too,
when you
right?
can't,
When
like
you're
in the middle of the night,
Without
and you
a doubt.
have to get up and go to the bathroom.
You know,
can't
the only
sit
way
on
the body
toilet
changes,
because it hurts so bad.
The only way the body changes is you place a demand on it, right?
Oh.
And so it's a love-hate relationship without a doubt.
We
The
got
nice
that-
thing is I don't take things personally during our time together. So we're
That's good, right? Yeah, you kind of have to have a tough skin as
Little
a
bit.
trainer, because I'm sure you get swore at,
Yeah.
spit on, not
Oh!
really spit on.
It's a badge of honor.
Well, you get people who don't have deodorant on.
Yeah, that's the rough
We'll be
part.
back in like 15 seconds, everyone. Laura's staying with us, and
Yep.
we're going to talk about some myths and clear a few things up, maybe do some push-ups.
Oh. All right, welcome back. We are here with Laura. She is one of the owners of Burn It, Build It Fitness. And we should mention you have two locations here in the Valley.
Yeah, so we have one in Central Phoenix off of 7th Street and just north of Bethany Home.
Okay.
And then we have one out in Avondale, right off of Dysart and Rancho Santa Fe.
So you got the Valley covered.
When you say you call it more of like a small like group kind of class, how many people when you walk in the door are you expecting to work out with? How does that work?
Yeah, so our classes range anywhere between 8 and 15 on average. Yeah, and then we run 8 classes a day, starting bright-eyed, bushy-tailed 5 a.m., and then we have those evening owls closer to like 6:30.
Ty shows up Saturdays at 5 a.m., doesn't he?
I believe so. Every Saturday. He is one of the most diligent and committed people I've ever met.
Friday is Ty's rest day.
You're going to get paid for that. Thanks, Laura.
Every day I ask him, "Are you going to work out?" And he goes, "No." And I go, "I am."
Yes, I do.
Yeah, he's my 3:30 crew.
Yeah, I go at 3:30 every day.
You do? Yeah. Because I'm leaving yoga at 2:30.
Yeah.
And so I call him on my way home as he's getting
heading
ready
to
to
the
work
gym.
out. So we're like, we motivate each other.
I love it.
She
I love
tries.
I try.
We have a whole bunch of myths, and I thought this would be kind of interesting to go through because, you know, a lot of people have questions about what they need to do to get those gains if they want, if they want to lose the weight. There's so many different things that you can do at the gym. So I thought we'd go over some of the most popular ones here, and then you could school us here, Laura.
I think Bo was asking, if I'm not mistaken, Bo Jackson, yes, is that correct? Was asking, how do you motivate to do leg day? That's, I guess, a tough one. For
without
Bo.
a doubt. You know,
for everyone, not just for Bo, for everyone.
Yeah,
those
the hard
walking
thing
lunges and the lunges. You
It's
know
a love
what
hate.
it is? I think I have balance, but when I start doing the lunges with weights, I'm literally like just teetering over.
Yeah. So with
she also
leg
weighs
day,
like 80 pounds.
it's true. How much weight are you holding? Is this like 40 pounds on one side?
it's
You know,
Go big or
context
go home.
matters.
Go
right?
big or go home.
No, to answer Bo's question, leg day is hard because you can always do one more rep with leg day, right? Because there's so many muscles that
What
go
does
towards
that
helping
mean?
you.
You can always do one more rep.
So when you are, I mean, think about like a bench press. When you get fatigued and you're, boom, you're done. Like you're like, my muscles are,
That's
they're
it.
done. Like
That's it.
it's sitting on my chest. I'm not moving it, right?
Okay.
It'll just be done.
Uh-huh.
But your legs, there's so many muscles that you use throughout your body because you're holding weight. It's on your back. You can always do one more rep. Even if you're shaky, you're like, I can do one more
No way.
squat. It's terrible, right? And so it's a love-hate relationship. But I think knowing the why behind leg day really helps guys.
Okay.
Because number one is it's the largest muscle group in your body, which means it burns the most amount of calories, right?
Leg day does?
Leg day does,
I
yeah.
like this.
So
I
for
like this.
people that are looking to lose weight, legs is it's like if your body is a car, your legs is like the engine. So your legs burn the most amount of calories to fire, right? For guys, it's one of the main sources of your testosterone. So when you lift legs, your testosterone goes up. So literally whatever muscle group you lift the day after legs, you get the most benefit from because your
Really?
testosterone is higher, so it's
so
easier
when you
to
do
build.
legs, do biceps so that your arms
Yeah.
are real big.
So it's like you want a bigger
Okay.
chest, lift heavy legs the next day, hit heavy chest, right?
Okay, silly question.
Yeah.
But I know a lot of women who do testosterone pellets.
Uh-huh.
So would that be the same since they have more
Not
testosterone?
quite,
Okay.
because
It's just
the
not
pellets
the
just
natural.
they naturally
Okay.
dissolve at a certain rate,
Okay.
right? And so it's like the levels, even if you're doing HRT and hormone replacement therapy for women, it's very different than men's testosterone. Like you can bump yours a little bit, but the equivalent of
It's
what it
not
is
the
for
same.
guys
Not
is
gonna
not
be
the
the
same
same.
because we are just not the same,
Okay.
right?
All right,
So you don't have
let's-
to worry about a female
Bo is
being
really
like,
liking
boom.
this answer.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
He
that's
says,
Get in there and
"Holy
do
crap,
your
I didn't know
legs."
this.
Yeah.
That's
That's
good to know. You do your
fantastic.
legs and then hit that. Okay, I gotta get these. I
Well,
gotta get these
you got
biceps
you
Right?
work
ready
on the
for-
guns and then you work on the pecs. And,
Right? The
and
beach
it's like-
muscles.
Yeah. So I would do legs every other day and then
Right?
I just
follow
got to
up.
get rid of my spare tire, I call it.
I don't think you have a spare tire.
Oh,
I think you're
I
okay.
do.
I feel like we need better decisions in the kitchen.
Well, you know what?
Laura, I will agree with you.
It's
Do you know
not-
how many snack bars
No,
he
no,
has
hold
in the
on.
morning?
It's not. Okay, easy
I
does it.
counted.
I can mute your mic right here. You know what? It's
I know
not
sign language.
at home.
No,
it's
never is.
here at work.
Without a
Yeah.
doubt.
Yes.
It's
Work
the
is the culprit.
donuts. It's the there's always donuts.
also
Have
here.
you seen
the-
nurses' stations?
Oh yeah.
Terrible.
But they're on their feet walking.
Doesn't matter.
I'm always on my butt doing
the
nothing, Laura.
snacks that Ty brings to work, though,
Don't-
I worry
So
about.
he doesn't eat them at his house, right?
They're granola bars and they have 10 grams of protein.
How
All
many
right.
grams of sugar?
That doesn't matter.
Okay. I'm just saying.
This is turning into a therapy session between Anita and I with you in the middle, Laura. I apologize.
No, I'm kidding. Ty's very healthy.
Without a doubt.
Yeah,
Most
he is.
days.
No, you do. You do a good job.
But sometimes I do fall. And then I don't know who put that little candy dispenser with the jelly beans.
I bought the jelly
Yeah.
beans.
Jelly beans are my kryptonite.
This is where we go with the term better, not perfect, right?
Thank you.
As we can be better and not perfect, and you can get away with some things when you're on point in other areas.
Darren Lloyd is saying spare tire, ? Spare tire. My little tire I carry around right here, Darren.
We hide everything well in the costumes that we choose to put on every single day. Myths. We're talking about some myths.
Darren said, I must have the tire and the rim then. You and me both, Darren. All right, let's talk about some myths. These are pretty interesting, and these were actually taken from Mayo Clinic, so this is probably pretty interesting here. So they're saying myth 1, stick solely to cardio for weight loss. Is that true?
So these are all going to context matters, right?
Yeah.
So does cardio burn the most amount of calories in the shortest amount of time? Yes, without a doubt, right? For every 10 minutes of cardio, you're roughly going to burn about 100 calories.
Can I interrupt real quick? When you say cardio, are we talking treadmill
sprinting
or
on the treadmill, walking on the treadmill?
It's going to be, that's a great question. It's going to be continuous, right? So it's not anything with like short reps and or short sprint and then sit and walk, right? Because heart rate comes down. So it has to be either jogging on a treadmill, being on the skier, riding a spin bike.
Is walking on a treadmill enough?
Walking
or
on
do
a
you
treadmill.
really have to be, you want to get your heart
You want
rate
that
up to a
heart rate
certain
up,
level?
You want it up, but really moving is moving, right? So for some people that can't run, walking may be all they can do.
What's
right?
this treadmill thing that everybody does where they're just that incline's at like 15 and they're just walking at the incline, and this is like this new trend where everyone says it's better than running, you're burning more.
That 12-3-3.
Yeah, you're not burning more because your body just runs as it's like your body's a car. So if you go, if you're cruising at 85 miles an hour, do you burn the same amount of gas as you do if you go 10 miles an hour up a hill and you don't hit the gas? Right? It's like the car just moves. Your body just functions. So it's just going to burn calories. Your body's not like, wow, I'm on an incline, so therefore it's better. But what it does do is it fires the hamstrings a little bit different, so people like that, right? You don't have to run to get in shape. So their heart rate, it's a way for them to get their heart rate elevated without the pounding on the body.
Mary Stringham says she is 6 foot, weighs 113 pounds, and cannot gain weight for nothing.
For sure. She is not going to be a happy camper. So the hard thing is when you have that type of body that burns things just so fast, you have to eat, and you have to eat a lot, and it's uncomfortable. It's like we always talk about how uncomfortable it is to lose weight and how you're hungry all the time. It's just as uncomfortable to try to gain weight because you're full all the time. And I mean, think about how you feel after you eat a big meal like Thanksgiving. You're just kind of like, ugh. Now imagine feeling like that every day, all of the time.
You're not talking about, though, eating the donuts and the cereal. You're talking about eating
good quality nutrients that's going to give your body food. Now, there is a space where it's like she may not be able to eat that many calories, right? Because it's like you eat a lot of salads and broccoli. It's like, well,
so what's a good calorie-dense food that
you're looking at throwing, like, this is where you throw in like the avocados and the healthy fats and the peanut butters.
Okay.
And I mean, I've had male trainers that lucky guys, they get their pint of ice cream every night because their diet is really, really clean, but they just need that extra 1,000-calorie hit just to calories in, calories out. Your body will never, ever refute the law of thermodynamics.
I should be writing all this.
So
I know. I am. Good
but
thing this is on YouTube. We can go back and rewatch this later.
But really,
what is the law of thermodynamics?
Energy in, energy out.
Okay.
Yep. So law of gravity is irrefutable, and the law of thermodynamics is irrefutable. Those are the two.
Look at it. We're learning science.
We're like 7th grade science. I love this. Yeah. But to really answer that question with cardio is, cardio does great things to help you lose. But if you want to maintain, all the science goes towards strength training.
Wow.
Okay.
So it's like it is a tool to help you be successful, But if you want to maintain results long term, you got to add the weights, and that's where all the science is showing.
That was going to be my next question. Then, how heavy? I'm 5'3", let's say roughly about 100 pounds.
Yeah.
How heavy am I lifting? How often?
Yeah. So the goal is 3 days a week.
Okay.
Right. If you do more than that, great, but we don't need more than that. And start with 30 minutes. Right. And we can build on
consistent lifting.
Consistent.
So I'll get on the treadmill in the morning for 30 minutes, and it's more of a walk on an incline with ankle weights, 3 pounds total. Because I don't like to run anymore.
Yeah,
it's just too hard on my body. And then I'll do 8 pounds, maybe 8 minutes of different arm exercises. And I'll do that every single morning. And then on Saturdays, I do a heated sculpt with weights. Will vary what we're doing. Not enough or enough?
I mean, are you at where you're at with your goals?
No.
Okay. So if you're not where you're at with your goals, you got to do more.
Okay.
Right. So
heavier?
either you have to change it. You either have to go heavier
or
you need to add in another strength training day.
Okay.
Because your body's so good at adapting. right? And so it's like the goal is to keep your body from adapting. The only way you can do that is increase your reps, increase your weight. So then if you're not at your goal, then you have to do something different to change it.
Okay.
Rachel Jones is asking average cost for a membership.
Yeah, so our memberships start as low as $99 and go to $189, depending on how often you're looking to work out.
Cool.
So.
All right, we've got 3 minutes.
Oh, wow.
So we got to do some fire questions.
Let's do it.
All right, heavyweights bulk me up. A lot of women don't want that bulky look, so
Right.
they're scared to lift weights
Cool.
or lift heavy.
You're not a man if you're not taking dude hormones, and you're not a dude, you're not going to look like a dude.
Okay.
Ask, what was it, Mary, who struggles putting on weight? She could lift as heavy as she wanted, and if her food doesn't follow, she won't gain a pound.
Awesome.
Okay, good to know. What if you're a dude and you want to look like a
Like Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Yeah,
Hey, then
keep going with
do
heavy.
leg day, bro. Leg day, Bo.
All right.
Every
Hit
other
it.
day.
Yep.
Oh, okay. This is okay. I've done this a lot. I worked out, so now I can eat unhealthy.
Yeah, so again, calories in versus calories out, right? So
Come on, give me like a little something.
there are 2 times you can get away with sugar. One right before you work out or one right after you work out, if you strength train.
Okay.
Because the best way to pull, so for all those type 2 diabetics, right? The best way to pull insulin out of the blood is make the muscles utilize it. So you have to place a demand on the muscles to where the muscles suck up, because they'll suck up that sugar for energy, and the muscle will protect itself first. That's very, very selfish. So that's why a lot of your pre-workouts, branched chains, or even like your protein shake taste sweet. Right? Is that's the one time that, like, hey, the muscle's going to absorb it and suck it out. And that's the time you can kind of get away from it if the rest of your day is on point.
Someone once said that eat your meal right after your workout because your metabolism is so high and you burn faster.
It's not necessarily high, because you can't really speed up and slow down your
Change your- okay,
metabolism
yeah.
no matter what. People think your metabolism slows down with age. Studies show it doesn't happen. Your metabolism from about 23 to 65 is actually the same.
Oh.
You just stop moving, your body chemistry changes. But again, what your body does is it's looking to refuel the muscles that you just used. Now, if you just do cardio, none of that happens, right? So again, if we want long-term results, we got to add in the strength training.
All right, we've got a couple more minutes here. This one I think is interesting too. If the number on the scale isn't going down, I'm not losing weight.
And also, does fat weigh more than muscle, muscle weigh more than fat?
They weigh the same, right? 1 pound of muscle is the same as a pound of fat. It's just a different size.
We have 30 seconds.
Oh, 30 seconds.
Yeah. Oh,
Laura,
beautiful.
gosh, we've gone through.
You're going to come back?
Oh, I can come back.
Yeah, can you? We're going to put you on retainer here. One more time, tell us where you're located and how folks can get more information about Burn It, Build It.
Yeah, so you can go to our website, burnitbuilditfitness.com. We are a premier group training studio here in the Valley. We have 2 locations, one out in Avondale, one kind of uptown, midtown Phoenix area off of 7th Street and Bethany
We got
Home.
5 seconds left.
Well, you might